In this worksheet called Match, column E has a list of Social Security numbers. Let's imagine that the list in columns A and B might be in a different worksheet, maybe even in a different workbook. And what we'd like to be able to do here is to see if this Social Security number, and the rest of them, of course, are found in the other list. Now, first thought might be, sounds like VLOOKUP. But the purpose of VLOOKUP is to not only find a match, but to return another value. Let's say that we simply want to know whether this is found over in column B, which again, could be in another workbook, another worksheet. We use a function called match. The match function starts off looking very similar to a VLOOKUP function. Here's the lookup value. And by the way, the entries in column E don't truly contain hyphens, nor do the ones in column B. The hyphens are in the format, not the actual content. So they do match up in terms of their layout. Comma. Where are we looking? We can highlight the cells from B2 downward, but since nothing else is in column B, let's use the entire column reference, column B. The third argument in a match function is the match type. That certainly isn't obvious, but as I press comma, look what happens. We want an exact match, so we're going to put in 0. Now you'll notice 1 means less than, -1 means greater than. These only make sense when the cells you're trying to look up contain numbers of a computational nature, perhaps of salaries or tax rates, something like that. You're trying to find numbers that fall between, above, or below a certain level. In this case, 0. You can either click this or type the 0. Type it. There we go. Are we finding this number here? Is it in that list in column B? Yes, but what does that mean? 17. It's in the 17th position of the lookup array location. So in this case, since we've chosen column B, it's in B17. There it is, right down there. Dukeman T 145696388. There it is right there. We see the 2. It's in the 17th location. Now, what if it were not found? What if this number were different here? Maybe that's 7 on the end there. This is not found. So there are many times when the match function's purpose is simply to tell us whether something was found in a different location. It certainly falls under that broad spectrum of what we call lookups, but it's different than VLOOKUP. And it can be used in other creative ways as well. Moving off to the right here, in columns J, K, and L, we see a list of names. And there's also another list out here in columns P and Q. Now, again, imagine how sometimes you need to match up data from different worksheets, different workbooks. Of course, in this case, they're on the same worksheet just for ease of display. We want to find out if Yvonne Randall here, or as we see the name here, Randall Yvonne, is found in this list. But notice how the lists are structured differently. Over here, we see names, last name, comma, first name. Here's Randall, comma, Yvonne. Surely it's the same person, isn't it? But how do we provide the match here? We actually have to use the match function to construct the concatenation, as it's sometimes called, of these two cells. So let's start with match here and put these two together by using a technique called concatenation. We want to take the last name, which is in J2, followed by ampersand. That means and. So we want the word Randall and, within double quotes here, comma space, double quote. This is the same style of layout we see in column P. The last name, then a comma space, and the first name. Where is that found here? K2, comma. So let's take this Randall, comma, space, Yvonne, and see if we can find it in column P. And we must find an exact match here, comma, 0. Did we find it? Yes, we did. Row 13, there's the name, Yvonne Randall. And since we again used entire column references rather than cells, we don't have to worry about absolute addressing here. We'll just double click to copy this down the column. There is no John Gilligan in that list to the right. Now, how about Renee Hood? Pretty close, right? Well, obviously Renee is not spelled the same way. And of course, that's why we don't find this. So once again, we're using the match function to locate the relative position or the non-existence of a match in a certain list. And we'll see in another movie how we can also use match with other functions to take this a step further. But many, many times the purpose of match function is to simply display whether we have found something or not.